Good evening, and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical and science fiction gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. We have with us from the other great city of Columbus, Georgia, Patrick Tadlock,
Hey,
who runs the Moxie Tournament over
mm,
there, and I guess they run one about once a quarter. Before we get too deep, just a reminder: do all the YouTube things for us. Click like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. All that really helps the channel to grow. We're slowly but surely climbing our way toward 1,000 viewers. So anything you can do to help with that is great. If you got questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I watch those every day, and I can just about guarantee you a response. And if I don't have one, well, I'll reach out to Patrick or whoever I need to and say, "Hey, give me an answer on this thread." So, thanks for joining us. And Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Just fine.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, I guess just to start off with, Gil, tell us a little bit about your background in Wargame. What was your first Wargame? It's always a fun
Uh,
question.
well, I would have been 40K. Fourth edition, like from the Battle for
Okay.
McCrag set first came out. I think I was in middle
Oh
school at
yeah.
the time, way back in the day, and I played up until maybe sixth edition. Came back for a little bit in eighth, but it's just not quite the same game anymore. That was around the same time I
No.
moved down here, got into Bolt Action. There was a bunch of guys who was getting into it. Um, yeah, pretty much just been playing that ever since. I haven't touched 40K, even though I have, 8 different Imperial Guard armies over here. They just collect dust now. So
Well, I always tell folks, hang on to your minis because you
yes,
can always plug them in somewhere else. And of course, I am sure you're familiar with one-page rules.
oh yes,
And if you, yeah, I don't know if you have you played, have you given them a
I've
test
flipped
ride
through
yet?
it. I flipped through it. I haven't really dived deep into it just yet. I haven't
Yeah,
really. I've got some of the old rules for 40K that I dabble in, but I've just
yeah.
action has just kind of consumed my wargaming thing. Like
I
it's just become everything. So
I get it, and you're a wise man to do them one at a time. If you saw my list of projects and games that are
oh
on
no
my
no no
desk, it would,
no.
yeah.
So this is all my in progress over here. So I mean, there's some orcs, there's some 40K stuff, some bolt action stuff. There's some other drop zone commander, like tons of stuff over here. As
Fantastic.
far as
I that's a
playing though, bolt action has been
Yeah.
like 90% of what I've been doing. So
I get it. I tend to rotate. I played a game of Advanced Squad Leader today, where me and a buddy are working through the Advanced Squad Leader starter kits.
mhm.
And it wouldn't be, by the way, it wouldn't be a Gator podcast if I didn't mention Squad Leader at least once.
Okay.
So, yeah, my first war game actually was first war game was probably Tank Battle or the old Milton Bradley broadsides, and then my actual what I consider my first real war game was Avalon Hills Midway, originally put out in 1964.
Oh
Edition I
no.
played was from the 70s, I guess. Would have been about 83.
Jesus.
And Dad really liked naval games. I play them now, but my go-to is still generally tactical combat. Then I discovered Squad Leader, and it was off to the races. And I think it was Squad Leader, and then Ogre, and then BattleTech. I mean, so
Um,
I've had my fingers in all the big stuff. My first 25 millimeter game was actually Star Wars Miniature Battles by West End Games. Pretty tight little system. Way too many stats for a tactical system. They tried to make it so you could cross over from the role playing game over to the tabletop game. And but we liked it and we played the heck out of it. And then what really sucked me into 25 mil was Lord of the Rings. And I
mm.
at one time had about 500 figures before I sold my collection. And then like you, yeah, oh yeah, I really liked it. It's a solid skirmish game. But
Mhm.
was in played some bolt action first edition. I was actually one of the original sergeants, and then came back in second as a player and then as a vendor. And yeah, you're right. It fills your days up. There's a lot to keep up with, especially with the new edition ramping up. And here you are organizing tournaments. Oh my gosh, you really have the bug bad. So, what was your first bolt action army?
Soviets.
Huh?
Soviets. I like the
Soviet.
T-34. I just like it's just iconic. I just
So Imperial Guard, Soviets, yeah, I can see the theme there.
yeah.
We liked the Horde and the T-34, both in real life and on the game table. What's not to like? Good armor, good gun, fast tank, solid. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. I mean, I get you there. I always do my armies in pairs. So I was airborne in Germans, and then I later branched out to British, and so I have British, German, and airborne. Do you have how many armies do you have total? What other armies you play?
I got the Soviets, I got the Germans. Both of those armies I pretty much have throughout the entire war. So I have like a corps of infantry, and then the armor I have early, mid, and late. And then I have some Battle of the Bulge Americans and some Battle of the Bulge Germans, and then I'm working on a summer Finnish army.
Summer Finnish, fantastic. Yeah, we've got a fella up here, Brent. He plays Finns. We've got another guy that plays. So what did he bring the last tournament? I think he brought. I want to say Norwegians because there's an army list for them somewhere. Anyway, so it's all over the map. Of course, John Ross is known to show up with French on the regular, and it is a cool thing about Bolt Action that even the armies that got shocked, shocked and put out of the war, in real life on the Bolt Action table is still very, very competitive. A Polish army or a French army will surprise you.
Oh, yes.
Because everything, unlike in real life, the commanders have access to the full armory, and that makes a huge difference. So, excellent.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite army to play?
Oh, I dabble between my Germans and my Soviets mostly. The winter stuff kind of stays on the shelf, but I just kind of here and there between the Germans and the Soviets. I more or less my favorite battle would be the Battle of Kursk, and so I just take both those armies and I just kind of flip flop between the days,
Yeah. Battle of Kursk. Oh my gosh. Now, I don't know. I don't think you can do that battle anything smaller than anything larger than 6 mil because you got to have all the tanks on the table.
Yeah, Kursk would be a hard one to really do in a tabletop setting just because you have the North Salient and the Southern Salient. You'd have to really narrow that down to make it to where it was anything. We did a 3,000 point game of Bolt Action at the Tank Museum back in November, and it was, I think, 6 hours, and we had only gotten to maybe turn 12, and we were nowhere near actually. Yeah, we were nowhere near actually finishing the game at all. When the museum was closing down.
They're like, okay, you're done here.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into the Tank Museum?
So they do. Why is my webcam not focusing? They do a like an armor and scale event in November, and so they just had us basically come in and do like Bolt Action basically as a little side thing.
Fantastic.
So we had a couple guys there doing the Battle of El Alamein. We had a couple guys doing Kalkengall scenario, and then me and another guy picked up the Battle of Kursk. And so we actually put 2 tables together, and I had a whole trench system laid out, barbed wire, the whole shebang, and the Germans coming and assaulting the position. It was pretty cool.
And that's something, thinking about the Battle of Kursk, like Stalingrad. Well, Stalingrad was almost unique to itself. I mean, the biggest quote-unquote city battle you had in the Great War was Verdun, and that was more just of an artillery grind. But I think that was one of the things that really typified Kursk is that it was the closest to a World War I battle you saw in the war, the way it ended up developing, because the Russians had so much time to, everybody knew where the German attack was coming, and the Russians were able to put just mines and trenches, and by the way, more trenches, and by the way, anti-tank guns. I think the last tally was like 1 anti-tank gun every 500 yards or some such crazy number. So wow. Yeah, doing the actual fighting of the main salient of Kursk. The most fun part of the battle, or most interesting to me from a maneuver battle standpoint, of course, is Prokhorovka. Where you got the SS and the guards going at it. That's a mobile battle. I tend to like those better. But yeah, Kursk itself was generally more of an assault against a fixed position.
Oh yeah.
And Jerry just got ground to pieces. So wow, cool beans. Sounds like you. So what got your interest in World War II?
Oh, my dad was always interested in it. I don't know.
Got it.
5 years old, I'm watching Battle of World War II documentaries, and it's just yes.
Yeah, I was always a history fan myself. Fantastic. Yeah. So you got into Bolt Action, and how did you? So you hooked up with? I guess you hooked up with the crowd there at Moxie, right?
Yep. Yeah. I tried it. I lived in California for a few years before that, and I tried to get into the game, and nobody like nobody around played it. It was basically just 40K. And then when I came here back in 2023 or something like that, there was already a group of guys that were already getting into it. I just slid right in, and we've pretty much been doing tournaments there ever since. It's only recently now that I've been running them in the last several months. I think February would have been my first one that I ran.
Yeah. And from what I can see, and from what I hear from folks, you're doing a great job. I mean, I think you're running 12 plus at most of your tournaments, which 12 to me, 12 is, if you're hitting 12, you're doing good. You know, and anything north of that, you're really turning and burning. I want to say Siege of Augusta had 12. I think Huracan might have had. I would have to check with Patrick. Also Patrick.
Maloney?
I want to say they had 18. Huh?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you're fading on us.
Somebody else. I met another Patrick up in Warzone when I was playing. I was wondering if maybe it was the same guy.
Yeah.
But my freaking thing is so out of focus for some reason.
That's better.
A little bit better. There we go. Look at that.
Right there. Okay. Perfect.
Cool.
Don't move. Don't breathe.
Don't move. Technology. It's so fickle.
Yeah, exactly. It's great when it works. When it doesn't, it's a pain.
Yeah.
So, whatever, because as you know, I've been running the tournaments here in Savannah since I got here in, Lord Almighty, about the same time you got there. I guess I got up here 21. Yeah. And I think we ran our first tournament maybe that year.
Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe been a little later, but I know how much work goes into a tournament. Whatever possessed you to be a TO?
Well, I basically was voluntold to do it. Is the God honest truth.
Yeah.
There was, when we first did it, there was someone else who ran them. They ran maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then he couldn't take it. He said it was too much work, it's too much stress, and so he moved on. Somebody else came in and started running them, and I think he did 4 of them, and then he actually retired, and he left. And he, like, the last day we were playing a game, and he was like, "Yeah, you're gonna run them now." And I was like, "What?"
Wow. Well, good on you, man. And
I just just take it on. And there's already a group of guys here. You know, we take a couple extra from up by Macon and up by Atlanta, and I don't know. It's not that.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah. Go ahead. What's that?
It's more or less kind of simple. I mean, most of the people, you know, are already here, and like I say, it's just a matter of like networking and getting the word out to people. If you make a tournament, they will come. As long as it's a half decent tournament, they'll come back. And that seems to be working out. This is my second one, and I had about the same amount of people come back. So,
well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I know Randy had a good time. I think Randy's made several of the tournaments up there.
Oh, he's made just about every one of them. He's real good about showing up.
Yeah, I think Randy. I'm going to blame Randy for me being the TO, because Randy really likes to play, and I have played and TO'd once. I will, unless I absolutely have no other choice, I will never ever do that again. Now that is stressful, but I agree with you. Just doing the straight tournament, it's not bad. Usually what I'll try and do is if there's like a new player or something that wants to learn, that's usually when I'll tell them, come on by, we'll throw some stuff down. You can look at what the other guys are doing, and we can run a game. And I've had good success doing that and just inviting people to do that. And I found also that the players are mostly self-policing. They call you, and of course they're going to call the TO in on the tough calls, and you're like, what, really? So yeah, get it. So yeah, well, again, just sounds fantastic. This last one, I love the trophies you did. I'm only a little jealous. I'm like, oh, Randy, I'm like, where do we get those? He's like, I don't think they're gonna tell us. I'm like, oh
no, that's one of our secrets, I think, that we're gonna keep to ourselves.
I like it. I like it. Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that Savannah Cup again sometime in the fall, and I'm going to continue with that. We literally give everybody a Savannah Cup that comes.
Okay.
Got a friend of mine that makes cups. Yeah, I think things like that, really help make an event really worth going to.
Mm-hmm.
They become the kind of event that people talk about and say, "Hey, when's it happening again?"
Oh yeah.
Um, and what we did, we did, I think, Axis and Allies. It was really structured, but everybody dove in and they just had a blast. And again, and it you sound like you're like me. When the room's happy, you're happy.
Oh yeah. No, I was having a blast. I mean, I just when I was first thinking about this, I'm like, man, they're gonna run it, and I'm not gonna play. And then, just being able to walk around to all the different tables, you get that like kind of enjoyment of them having the fun playing the game, and you're just having fun because they're having fun, basically.
Right. Right.
Which you don't get the same fun when you're just playing, because you're just in your game. Whereas I'm able to walk around to all 6 of the tables, and I can kind of suck in all of that joy, basically.
That's awesome. What a good attitude. And I think I agree with you. It's definitely, it's kind of, it's like being a game master. I mean, you set the thing up and you watch the players have fun, and you got the right attitude for it, Patrick. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would say I was gonna ask you, what is the what do you think went the best at the last tournament that you did? Well, first of all, how many players did you have? So you ran the last one was last week in May, right? So May, my days run together. Last weekend, right? Weekend
Yeah.
before last.
Yeah, it would have been last weekend.
Yeah.
25th. Yes, 25th.
Okay. And so what do you think went the best?
Man, there's a lot of different things that went well, and there's a lot of things that didn't go so well.
Give me your top 3 that went well.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good that obviously people that did show up showed up. I really appreciated having a lot of the big names like John Ross obviously come down was pretty cool.
Right.
We had a lot of interest. There was at one point 18 players on my roster, and there were people emailing me wanting to get onto the roster, and it was like, oh my goodness. But of course, life happens. People have to cancel.
Right.
So the day of, we actually ended up with only 11, because like that morning of, someone texted me and they're like, I can't make it. And then I show up, and one of the guys who, like, there's a couple guys that aren't in the group chat that we have that I have to personally message, basically. One of those guys who brings another guy with him, he was like, oh, he's not going to make it. It's like the day of, like, all of a sudden, I'm just getting told this now. It's like, no.
Wow.
And then also the morning of Randy's whole incident where he didn't have his army. So he's like, can I borrow your models? And I'm like, well, I need to play to make it an even number, but I guess I can't do that now. So we have an odd number.
Wow, that's great.
I didn't have I had no contingency plan for having an odd number whatsoever, and so I had to make it up on the fly.
Yep.
On how to score it and everything. But
yeah, I think my default position is I'll go with a bye, because trying to play in TO is that is truly stressful. Otherwise, it's a lot of work. But okay, so that's really good. That's something that went really well. Wow. Yeah, a lot of people drop out on you too, because I know our last event we were up around 20, and I think 20. We ended up with about 16, and Randy and I realized that once we got all the tables laid out, 18 is our max number. We can't go bigger than that. So that's I tell folks, all right, 18 max. But yeah, it's good to have a contingency plan. I need to make sure I have at least one loaner army available. I know that's something we try and do here. One of the things that I know Randy talked to Bo Mortensen, and Bo was really bragging on your community and the community in general, just how we look out for one another. Yeah.
Oh yes.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, I've found that out generally in the game community as in general, but certainly within the historical gaming community, you really find a lot of camaraderie, and that's really cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So that sounds like it worked out.
Yeah, just barely. Yeah, just barely.
Yeah, well, anytime you can pull it off, it's a win.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even know that you had any kerfluffles at all from what I've been hearing from folks. So that's really excellent. What would you say? So what else went real well for you? You got the right number of players. You managed to pull that off.
I got a lot of A lot of compliments on the terrain. You know, that was a big one I get. So we had, well, it would have been 6 tables that we had set up, but we only ended up using 5 after round 1. There was one table that had been brought specifically for a player because they were bringing a Marine army, and this player decided, well, I'm going to bring a Japanese army so that we can fight, and we're going to have a Pacific board. So that was really nice. And then I brought my 3 tables, and then there was another guy who brought 2 tables. So there was an LL main table and a kind of winter finish table. And so we got tons of compliments on how great the tables were from the player that was there, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And a lot of positive buzz about the trophies, the awards, you know, the prize support that we got was huge. I got more or less the same positive buzz about missions, which was
that is a win. Good job.
It was a contentious issue, if you will, because the previous tournaments from before that I was running these, they were all much more historical in nature, and they were tied to the table. And so if you played the same table twice, you played the same scenario twice. And so there was a lot of contention from people about that. Whereas now I'm doing the more traditional thing of you're just going to play 3 different games no matter what table you're on, because we're just going to play the same scenario for everybody in this round and that round and that round. And so there was a lot of, you know, that was one thing that went well. Basically, I made that change over that.
We tried that in our last tournament where we did table-based scenarios, and we ran into the same issue. So probably will not do that again, just for that reason. So okay,
yeah,
well, very good.
It also gets very infuriating when you're the TO and you're trying to organize all this, and you're having to get the table set up and have a scenario tied to it and get it all. It was so stressful. It's so much easier to just make 3 scenarios. You can really squish out all the issues in those 3 scenarios. And now everyone's on the same playing field because everyone's playing those same scenarios. Much simpler.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good call. Let's see. What would you say was what were your 3 biggest challenges, things that could have went better?
Oh, well, people dropping would be the first one. I had 4 people actually get with me in a 24-hour time period and say, I can't make it. And it was just like, wow, all of a sudden out of nowhere night, like everyone's texting me like, I can't make it. Yeah, I don't know. Beyond that, there really isn't anything that I can think of that's like negative.
Really. Okay, good. Excellent. Very good. Very good. That's where, you know, if you get over the limit, you can certainly have people on standby.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a good.
The other thing too, like the store has the 9 main tables, but then they also have like other tables that they have like in storage. So if we were theoretically to have 20 players show up the day of, like they can absolutely set up another table, and there's tons of store terrain, and we would just set up another table and we would just have 20 players playing the tournament.
That's awesome.
Because I keep the limit at 18 on BCP, but I mean, honestly, like if more people showed up, I would absolutely just add more to that. And we would just play 20 players.
I got it. But since we tend to do ours at the church, I literally physically cannot add any more space. 18 is tops, and there's not a store in the area that can handle 18.
Really?
We did either 6 or 8 at one store, and they were full.
Wow.
There's another store in the area where they could do 12, maybe. Yeah, they could do 12.
Jesus.
But I'm already up to 14 for this tournament.
Okay.
So, yeah, but that's really cool. Great. So, future plans. I know I was when we were backstage, we were talking about the different cons. So you've not made any of the cons yet. Any plans to try and do that and maybe see how the other folks do it?
Well, it's just tough. It's just difficult with the work schedule and everything, you know,
right.
Not being able to leave past 250 miles. I mean, your tournament is at 240 miles. So I'm literally at the very extent of how far I can go without taking leave. And leave is always just this absolute pain in the ass to get a hold of. So.
Got it.
Kind of, okay. You know, figuring that all out is really the big issue. I would love to go to them. I would absolutely love to go to them. But yeah, it's just not really in the cards at the moment, unfortunately.
The needs of the service. So we just have to come to you. when we see a Moxie tournament, we just need to sign up and go. You know,
Yeah,
I hear you. Randy's
absolutely.
always telling me you should go, and I'm like, time. Because let me tell you, I run a couple businesses, and they keep me stretched out, as you
Oh
might
yeah,
imagine. That's why we're talking at 8:30 at night doing a video.
sure.
And thank you, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
So future plans for Moxie or future? Well, first of all, what are Patrick's future hobby plans? What's your next bolt action army going to be? You think?
Oh, I'm just working on the ones I got right now. I'm just working on my
And work on the ones
fins.
you have.
It's really all I got going on at the moment. I mean,
Fins,
I've only got 15 models painted or something like that. So that's
right?
all I'm working on is my fins, really. The last thing that I did was an SU 152 for my Soviets.
Yep.
And that's been my last couple days that I've been doing that.
There's a building crusher. Jeez.
Yeah.
Kaboom. Yeah. My current bolt action project is the desert. I'm working on Africa Corps and 8th Army. And I had the Gentleman's War box set that I did as a demo. And I've just really fallen in love. I love the color schemes. Some of that might have to do that I grew up in the high desert of California. So those colors are kind of baked into me.
Sure.
But yeah, desert's easy to do.
Yeah.
None of the for both factions. Yeah. You don't same thing with early war, fairly easy to do, especially for uniforms. Late war Germans, just a nightmare. And
Absolutely.
with all the different camouflage, if you're gonna do the camo pattern.
Yeah. Have
So,
you done any of the late war German armor at all? Like any of the ambush camos or anything like that? Because that's pain in the ass.
what color did we end up painting my Stug? I think we threw a camo pattern on the Stug, but it wasn't too crazy. So yeah, I generally tend to go with maybe just like some green, the green spot camo, something simple. So yeah, because you do the ambush camo, or God forbid you do the P-Dot camo. I have a friend of mine that did P-Dot camo on 15 millimeter SS, and
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh, what a nightmare!
you are
I did it
truly
on
a better man than me. Yeah,
I did
just
it
know.
on. Well, I did it on one squad of SS, and I will never touch P-Dot ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did ambush camo on a Yag Panzer a little while ago, and painting like 100 tiny little dots. I was like, no, never again, never again. No.
I think though every modern gamer, every World War II gamer should have to do some type of camo at some point because it's good for you.
It's funny. So the last tournament that we did, one of the prizes was an elephant kit. And the way I kind of do the pricing, I have the first prize was going to be the lowest order dice count and then best painted and so on and so forth. So the guy who won the elephant, he brought it at the last tournament, and he also brought a king tiger. But when he was painting them, he's like, I don't know what Patrick's talking about. Doing this ambush camo can't be that hard. And he comes back to me at the tournament, and he's like, I'm sorry, I made fun of you. It was a nightmare.
Especially on a Yang Panzer and an elephant.
Yeah,
lots and lots of armor to cover there. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't know if you're keeping up with how much you're keeping up with the current talk on meta, but big tanks are starting to come back in. And they tend to do what big tanks do. They tend to control their sector of the battlefield.
Sure.
So it's really interesting to see that come back around.
I don't know if it's just our local meta or what it is, but the last two that we've done, first place has been an army with no tanks in it whatsoever. And one of those armies didn't have any vehicles in it at all, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
The last one was a Soviet army that had heavy emphasis on scouts and artillery. And that really did some work for him, even with my handicap where only one of those units can actually be in the enemy deployment zone. He went undefeated on all 3 games and got first place.
Well, of course, the scouts are going to get to move on quick. They're going to literally get to do what scouts did, infiltrate. And then, of course, if you got OBA, off-board artillery, that causes its own headaches. And scouts can call artillery, can't they?
No.
Oh, gosh. No, still you need your spotter?
Yeah, you still need your spotter. Yeah. But he
still,
didn't have any.
Yeah.
He didn't have any spotters. He had a heavy howitzer. He had a ZIS-3 and a bunch of light mortars. No spotters, no artillery observer, no none of that. He just did direct fire with it all. And he was able to get a triple win on that. It was pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you the light mortar. There's a reason it was in the table of organization. The new version 3, a lot of people have really fallen in love with it. I wasn't sure about it until I used mine from the Gentleman's War kit, and I was like, "Ooh, this thing can make machine guns shift. That's a good thing." And Saints help you if you catch some, machine guns, anti-tank rifles, anything that has to be static. That's mortar bait.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And yeah, my buddy and I were playing. We were playing, like I say, we were playing ASL this afternoon, and this particular scenario had the light mortars, and oh my gosh, they were, at the platoon company level, those things are a significant factor. So wow.
Yep.
Well, good.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
All right. Well, again, congratulations. I think I don't often play this card, but I think you're one of our younger TOs. So and everything I've seen out of your tournament just shows real professional organization. Good job. Would love to have you on the channel again. I like to get TOs on here kind of before and after your tournaments before to kind of see what you're thinking, and after to see if you survived.
Okay.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then of course Randy and I we deconstructed he did one where he talked about how he did, and then we went through the Moxie list and even some of the issues with some of the debate about Gurkhas in the newer editions and some of the things we're seeing Warlord doing. And it's version 3 is in shift. We're going to continue as the Army books come out. The next one's going to be Armies of Great Britain, and it's going to change a lot of things about the British Army. It's going to change a bit how British players play. Already we know the 17-pounder tanks are going to be something like 30 or 40 points cheaper because they don't have 3-inch HE. But like Randy was saying, if you take a Firefly or you take an Archer, you're not going after enemy infantry. You're going after enemy armor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So now you pick up. Yeah. So, pick up 30 points. That's another 3 guys if you're doing regulars. Heck, it's another light machine gun. Although people don't like. Some people poo-poo machine guns, but there you go.
The light mortar team and an extra guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mortar teams will win. So, all right. Well, very good. Anything else you'd like to say to the folks before we wrap up?
Well, next month we're doing a Tank Wars event, so that'll be another small tournament with just tanks on the 22nd, and then we'll have our next actual tournament in August. I think it's the 24th. So it's like it's basically the 4th Sunday is when we do our game days. That's when we do our Bolt Action. It's just
we'll have to make sure you and I coordinate that because I tend to do ours about every 3rd. And I'm not doing one in September because of Huracan. If it's not Huracan, it's Southern Front. Anyway, I'll coordinate with you. We'll see how we can work that out.
We definitely don't want to be close on dates.
No, and that's one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things. Although we are growing. I got a guy down here that just really started to dive in. I've told him to come on to the tournament, and I could probably get him to come for some casual play. But that's one of my big missions. I did this before I was Gator Games. I've always had a big mission to say, let's get all the communities talking so we can coordinate and build a bigger tent for everybody.
Oh yes,
and I think if we're doing that, that's a win. I'll get with you offline and make sure I got that August date nailed down. Make sure I'm not doing anything on top of that. And I think I've heard about your Tank Wars. I don't think I have the date down. Have you put that out as a social media post yet, like an event?
I think Moxie itself did. I'm not really throwing it out there just yet, but that is eventually going to be a thing. Yes.
There you go. Yeah, and all that to say, the reason I ask is usually when I see your stuff, I grab it and put it out. I'm like, hey, you're doing something over Moxie. Go go help them out.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing that I'm a part of. And Tank Wars, and that was what was interesting too. I've said wrap up, but I'd forgotten about your Tank Wars thing. So you're calling it Tank Wars, but you're really just using the version 3 rules focused on tanks.
Yeah, so basically it's just bolt action, but your army list structure is just armor platoons. You don't take any infantry. You don't take any artillery.
Okay.
1,500 points of just armor platoons. And there's no limit on how many armor platoons, how many vehicles, none of that. It's just 1,500 points straight. So I know there's one guy who plays Polish normally, and he's like, I'm just going to print as many TKSs as I can possibly print. And he just wants to print like a whole horde of little tanks.
Sure, he'll have a horde of TKSs. Yeah.
There'll be King Tigers. Man. There'll be King Tigers and Mouses and things like that galore, because one of the prizes is for the heaviest tank in your army. So I already know of like 2 people that are going to try and bring Mouse tanks.
Oh my goodness. And I think they only had like 1. So again, this is what makes tabletop gaming fun, is we don't have to worry about production problems.
No.
unless we get bad minis. So wow, that's exciting. So what made you decide to do Bolt Action 3 instead of Octoon Panzer?
Oh, I've never touched Octoon Panzer. I think there were a couple guys that played it, and they said it was kind of like they weren't really ecstatic about it, if you will.
Yeah,
and so
that's cool.
It's just easier since we already all know the Bolt Action rules. Instead of learning a whole new game system, we already know Bolt Action. It's easy, it's simple, and I know from playing it in version 2 that the games go by really quick. I mean, you can get a game of Tank Wars done in like 40 minutes. So
oh yeah.
I mean, like, it just made so much more sense to just do that. It just made things so much easier for everyone.
And we all need an excuse to put as many tanks on the table as we can at a time. I've actually got a scenario I've been promising myself for years to run for Thanksgiving. That is an Eastern Front scenario that's got like a dozen tanks on each side, and it's a 28 mil. But you got to have it on a 5x10 board, not a 4x8, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, you got to have the range, the space. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Fantastic. Okay, very good. So Patrick reminds everybody about Tank Wars at Moxie on the 22nd of June.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, which is so that's a Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday. Yep.
Okay, so it's about. I was just saying that's 6 days before our tournament on the 28th. So a lot. The awesome thing is, and I know Columbus is, I want to say, a couple 3 hours from us here. But the good thing is, it's nice that people have lots of opportunity to go play Bolt Action at a I want to say a casual competitive level. In other words, having heard about your tournament, knowing about mine, you know, if you're watching this, guys, and you've not played Bolt Action or not played a lot of Bolt Action, come on to any of these tournaments. You're going to find yourself welcome. I will tell you, most of us TOs, we know our players. And if we got a newbie, we're usually either got to pair a couple of newbies together, or a pair a newbie with an experienced player that's willing to kind of teach as they go. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll cut you. They won't play to their best ability, but they're going to coach you as well. So if you're new players are always welcome at these events, and that's a big thing to understand. And again, I think a big part of what makes our Bolt Action community work. All right, Patrick, this has been very good. Speaking to all my Gator friends here, y'all know the drill. Again, give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe. It's thirsty work running these videos. So if you want to buy us a coffee at Ko-Fi, our link will be in the description below. If you want to support us monthly on Patreon, you can support us there. Number one way we ask you to support us is buy some merch at GatorGamesWayX.com. We have a good chunk of what Warlord carries and what we don't have in stock. We can special order, and just about always a discount. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. Enjoyed seeing one of the newer tournaments that's coming online, and boy, turning into a really good partner. And that's it for tonight, y'all. Talk to you later.
Later.